Welcome to LexiCast, a podcast designed to help you grow in your legal practice, with weekly updates on current topics, trends, and practical insights. Perfect for listening on the go. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing a really critical deep dive into client interview. For professionals in those high emotion fields like family law, this whole process is not just about, getting information anymore.
Not at all.
We've pulled together sources from neuroscience, psychology, and even modern consumer behavior to really map out how the lawyer's role has just fundamentally shifted.
And that's really the mission here.
Yeah.
We're looking at how the severe psychological stress that clients are under.
Right.
And you couple that with the crazy efficiency we now demand from modern businesses.
Yeah.
And it's just completely rewriting the rules for client communication.
Yeah.
I think the lawyer has to move beyond just giving advice.
They have to become a designer.
A designer of a whole client experience.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this. So we start, I guess, with the human element. Our sources frame this area of law as fundamentally the business of relationships.
It is. It absolutely is. And it's so important to get just how profound relationships are for us.
Yeah.
There's fascinating evidence from these long-term studies that shows people who keep strong, consistent relationships, they actually tend to live longer. So these aren't just, nice to haves. They're central to our lives.
Which, of course, creates this massive tension in a family law office. Clients are walking in because that foundational relationship has just shattered.
Yep.
They're focused completely on matters of the heart, the betrayal, the injustice, all the anger.
And then the legal system shows up with what you could bluntly call legal band-aids.
Right.
The client is, bleeding emotionally, and we have to pivot them to property division, parenting plans.
All the quantifiable stuff.
The stuff the law can actually address, which is often so far removed from what brought them in the door.
So the lawyer is stuck managing this impossible duality. You have to acknowledge the client's story, the affair, the bad behavior. You have to, while also knowing that, in court, most of that might have zero bearing on the actual legal outcome.
That's the tightrope walk. If you dismiss their emotional truth, you lose their trust. They can't hear you. But if you just live in that emotional space, you lose sight of the legal strategy. Managing that tension is, it's an immense skill. You have to validate them without letting the emotion run the whole show.
Which brings us right into the psychology of it. What is actually happening in the brain when a relationship breaks down? This isn't just a bad week.
No. It's classified as a major psychological event. Our sources consistently rank it as a grief event that's on par with the loss of a loved one.
Wow.
But think about the difference. When someone dies, society has rituals, funerals, mourning, people bring you food.
There's a structure for it, support.
Exactly. Vulnerability is, it's acknowledged. But separation, that can be the complete opposite.
The support network just breaks apart.
It fractures. People take sides. There's no public ritual. And all this time, physiologically, under that much stress, the logical parts of your brain, they just start to shut down.
So all your decisions are coming from that raw emotional center. Is this what they call the amygdala hijack?
That's the perfect term for it, the amygdala hijack. It's when the emotional center of the brain literally bypasses the prefrontal cortex, the part that does reasoned logical thinking.
It's a survival thing.
It's an immediate survival reaction, often triggered by a shock, like, finding out about an affair.
So if a client is in the middle of a hijack, what does that look like in your office?
They can't focus. They can't process detailed legal frameworks. They're just stuck in the trauma and the fear of what's next. It is a classic flight, fight, or freeze response happening right there.
And what's really critical is the timeline, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The research suggests it can take at least 2 hours for the human brain to fully kick back into rational action after one of those events.
2 hours. That just shows how pointless it is to try and push through a really detailed interview right after a crisis.
It does. And then you add in the 5 stages of grief.
Yeah.
Anger, depression, denial. Clients don't just go through them in a neat little line. They can cycle through all 5 of them multiple times in a single day.
So if they're swinging from anger to denial in the space of a few hours, how can you even confidently take instructions?
Well, that's the immense challenge. You have to realize their capacity to understand or accept anything is constantly in flux. It means you need continuous validation, repetition.
Okay, that context is huge, but it's not happening in a vacuum. This is happening while clients are also ordering Uber and using their iPhones. How does this consumer age complicate things even more?
Well, you have to look at the timeline. Think back to, say, the year 2000. Legal information was a commodity.
It was scarce, locked away in books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you paid the lawyer for access to that information. Today, that model is completely obsolete.
Information is totally commoditized.
It's everywhere. Clients can search online, use AI tools like ChatGPT to summarize concepts. I mean, they might walk in with a prediction of their settlement already generated.
Which creates a new problem because now you're not just giving information, you're correcting misinformation from an algorithm.
Precisely. And all of this is crashing into that modern consumer mindset. We're all just used to the smoothness of Apple, the speed of Uber Eats.
And then they call a law firm, and the way it operates, the communication, the paperwork, it feels like it's from the 1980s.
That's the disconnect. So the role of the lawyer, it's evolved. We're not selling information anymore. We are selling an entire experience.
And success is defined by how we make people feel.
That's it. It's about aligning the service we provide with what clients think they're buying. And what they think they're buying now is emotional support and seamless project management.
Okay, so that's a huge shift. If the interview is just one part of that bigger project, let's get practical. What are the top 3 techniques for managing all of this? Let's start with tip 1, the power of priming.
Priming is all about positively influencing the client's mindset before they even see you. The whole goal is don't add more stress. It starts online. Your website, your FAQs, videos explaining the process, it all sets a tone.
It's about getting ahead of those little practical frustrations, too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the logistics. Finding parking, finding the office. For an anxious client, those small things can trigger that stress response before the meeting even starts.
And technology has to be key here.
Non-negotiable. People are looking for lawyers at, 10 o'clock at night. So online scheduling, like Calendly, is a must. And then, crucially, once they book, have an automated email or a short video go out.
Answering those first questions.
Yes. What do I bring? Can I bring my sister? Just getting that information out instantly lowers their anxiety.
But hold on, there's a tension here. We're saying don't load them with paperwork, but sometimes you have urgent deadlines and you need that data.
That's the nuance, right? The caution is against the massive, detailed pre-interview questionnaire. That very first conversation has to be about the person, their story. You save the hard data collection, the asset schedules, for a later step when they're calmer.
Got it. Okay, tip 2, the power of a conversation. And this starts with something that's, well, pretty rare today. Genuine presence.
Presence is everything. I mean, your phone is off, your watch isn't buzzing, your email is closed. For that hour, you are doing one thing and one thing only. You are listening.
If they feel you're distracted, you've lost.
You've lost. Trust is gone. And once you're present, you need to structure the conversation. Start broad. Tell me what's happening. Let them get it out.
Let them vent.
Then you pivot to structure. Okay, so today we need to cover 3 things. That structure grounds them.
And the goal of that first meeting isn't what most people think it is.
No. The goal is not to solve everything. It's to understand their priorities and create a clear, manageable plan for the next step. Just knowing what happens next is a huge relief.
And our training as lawyers is to ask closed questions to get facts quickly. But you're saying resist that.
At first, yes. Closed questions shut down the story. You need to ask broader, more curious questions. How did that make you feel? What's the most important thing for you here? That helps you understand what they see as important.
And with their brains so stressed, how do we make sure any of our advice actually sticks?
Visuals. You have to use visuals. The data is so clear on this. People retain about 10% of what they hear, 20% of what they read, but up to 80% of what they see.
And yet we still send these dense 12-point font letters of advice.
We do. We need to be using flowcharts, infographics, short videos explaining things, make it digestible.
Which connects to this idea of the gorilla analogy.
The gorilla analogy, yes. From that famous study, it's so relevant. If the lawyer is just hyper-focused on counting the assets, the balls in the video,
You miss the gorilla walking through the middle of the scene.
you miss the gorilla. And in a legal context, the gorilla could be underlying family violence or trauma, and you only get to that by creating space with those broad, curious questions. If you miss it, it's a catastrophic failure.
It's a safety issue.
It's a massive safety issue.
So once you've built that rapport, how do you keep the communication client-focused?
You ask them. Just ask. How do you best take in information? Do you like quick text, detailed emails? You tailor your approach to them. This is so important for trauma survivors, to avoid making them tell their story over and over again.
That level of personal touch is a game changer. So let's go to tip 3. Focusing on the overall client experience, how do you even start to assess that at your own firm?
You have to mystery shop your own firm. Call your office, Sit in your own reception area. How does it feel? Walk into your meeting room. Is it a comfortable space that encourages openness, or is it a stark table that feels purely transactional?
And what are the absolute non-negotiables for a good experience?
The biggest one is avoid surprises. A stressed brain cannot handle unexpected bills or sudden deadlines. And practice what I call kind boundaries.
Kind boundaries, what does that mean?
True kindness isn't being a doormat. It's not letting a client walk all over your procedures. It's setting clear, firm boundaries like payment schedules and then sticking to them. That predictability is itself a kindness.
And all of this is in service of empowering the client.
That's the end goal. You ensure they understand their options so they can make their own informed decisions. And sometimes when you give them that space, they come up with these amazing left-of-center solutions you'd never have thought of.
And you shared that anecdote about the client who found a way to stay calm in court.
I love that story. She brought an adult coloring book and pencils to mediation. And while she was listening to all this complex stuff, she would just color. It was a simple grounding act that kept her rational brain online.
So we need to ask.
You have to ask them, what do you need to stay calm and focused? It might be a stress ball or a quiet corner. We have to accommodate that.
This has been a huge deep dive. And the thing we keep coming back to is that the client interview is just one micro part of this much bigger project, which is the whole client experience.
That's absolutely it. The goal is this constant striving for alignment between your service and their needs. You use tech to make it easy, you set kind boundaries, and you make sure they feel seen and supported.
So what does this all mean for the modern lawyer?
This raises an important question. It means we have to keep asking the person we're working with, what matters to you right now? How can we best work together? And we have to be willing to adapt our process based on their answer, because that answer might change tomorrow.
That adaptability, that's the key. Thank you for walking us through all of this. It's been incredibly insightful.
My pleasure.
And thanks for listening.
That's it for today's episode on LexiCast. If you're looking for more in-depth episodes that can also be claimed as CPD activities, check out our LexiCast CPD Plus page linked in this episode's notes. Follow us now to stay up to date, and we'll see you next time.